They say evil can't cross water, but what if it was born on an island and invited into your home? In Key West, Florida, there's a doll sitting in a museum, a sailor suit on its stitched body, a lifeless smile carved in cloth. They say if you mock him, if you take his picture without asking, he'll follow you, and you'll wish all you'd brought home was a souvenir. Welcome to Kentucky Melody, where dolls don't blink, but you swear they just did, where the glass isn't thick enough, and the stories, they don't stop just 'cause the sun comes up. Now, let's go ahead and wind that old clock back, clear on back to the year of our Lord, 1904. Down yonder in Key West, Florida, where the sea air sticks to your skin like sweat on a preacher, there stood a big old white house on Eaton Street. Proud thing. Ornate woodwork, them long glass windows that always seemed to reflect a little too much, and a porch that creaked even when no one was walking on it. Now, inside that house lived a boy, a young'un by the name of Robert Eugene Otto, though most folks round there just called him Gene. Quiet boy, a little too serious for his age, always drawing strange pictures and talking to things that weren't there. On his birthday, Gene got himself a gift, but not from his ma, not from his pa. No, sir. That gift came from the hands of a servant girl, said to be from the Bahamas. Folks whispered she was fired not long after, but not before she left something behind. Something stitched. It was a doll, though calling it a doll don't quite capture the feel of it. This thing stood nearly 3 foot tall, wore a little sailor's outfit that looked like it had seen better decades, and had eyes like black buttons pulled from a corpse coat. Its face, bold, stiff, almost alive, like it was waiting to change when no one was looking. They said she sewed it by hand, but she didn't use no regular cotton or fluff. Whispers told of bones ground fine into dust, of strands of human hair woven into the stuffing, and of curses tied tight in thread, soaked in oil and blood. Gene took to that doll like a tick to a hound. Called it Robert, after himself, mind you, and from that moment on, something shifted in that house. He didn't just play with it. He talked to it, all the time. At first, his parents thought it was just imaginary friend stuff, but then they'd hear things, conversations, full sentences. Gene's voice would be talking. Then came the reply, low, gravelly, almost like something crawling out of a well to speak. They'd barge into the room, find Gene sitting still, the doll staring out the window like it had just heard its name whispered from the trees. Gene swore up and down. It wasn't me talking. It was Robert. And the worst part? His voice didn't sound scared when he said it. It sounded proud. Now, it weren't but a short spell after Robert came to live in that house when the trouble began. At first, it was little things. A chair scooted itself just a few inches off from where it was set, a doorknob turning real slow, even when no one was on the other side. But soon, it got worse, real worse. The Ottos would wake up to find the furniture flung over, heavy chairs on their sides, tables cracked like they'd been tossed in a fit of rage. Little Gene's toys, ripped to shreds, arms torn from dolls, heads popped off, eyes gouged clean. One time, his favorite stuffed animal was found stuffed inside out, nailed to the wall with a fork. The hole upstairs looked like a storm had passed through, but only in Gene's room. His parents would come storming in, shouting, demanding answers, and Gene, white as a sheet and shaking all over, would just point that little finger toward the doll sitting quiet in the corner and whisper, "Robert did it." Every time. Same look, same words. Like it was the only truth left in his throat. And folks outside the house? Well, they started noticing things too. Neighbors swore up and down they saw that doll, Robert, standing in the windows when nobody was home. One woman even claimed she saw it moving from room to room, peeking through the curtains like it was looking for someone. And the servants, they didn't last long. One after another, they quit in the dead of night, some leaving all their things behind. Said the doll would watch 'em work, following with those beady black eyes. And sometimes, if they stared too long, it'd blink. Now, one night, one cold, still night, a scream rose up from Gene's room that near split the house in two. His mom and daddy come barreling in, breath catching in their chests. And there they saw him, Gene, huddled in the corner of the room, knees to his chest, shivering, eyes locked wide on something they couldn't see. And right there, rocking slow in the moonlight, sat Robert, not tossed to the floor, not abandoned, sitting in that chair, staring straight at the boy, not moving, not blinking, but somehow waiting, like he'd finished something. Years went by, like they do. Gene grew up, left that haunted house on Eaton Street behind and wandered far from Florida's muggy breath. Went off to Paris, of all places, studied painting, became something of an artist, they said. But you can't ever really leave a thing behind if it's already crawled inside you, now can you? When his mom and daddy passed on, Gene come back home. Back to that same creaking, shadow-laced house that remembered every whisper it ever held. And guess who he brought with him? Robert. Now, Gene was a grown man, a full-blooded adult with a wife and a paint-stained soul. But he didn't lock Robert up or stash him in a box. No, sir. He gave him a room. Not just any room either. A child's room. With a little bed, little toys, a rocking chair, and a window that looked out over the street, like a watchtower for something that didn't sleep. His wife, Anne, she hated that thing from the moment she laid eyes on it. Said she felt cold any time she passed by the room. Said it gave her nightmares even when she was wide awake. She begged Gene to get rid of it, said it made her feel watched, judged. But Gene, "Robert needs me," he'd whisper, and from there things started to go sour, real sour. Visitors would come over, polite and smiling, but leave shaking and muttering about hearing footsteps overhead when no one was upstairs. Sometimes folks swore they heard giggling, or dragging, or something heavy breathing behind the walls. Robert's face, stitched and stiff as it was, changed. People said they saw it twist like it was angry, like it was holding back something mean. Kids in the neighborhood, they'd cross the street rather than walk past that window. Some said they saw the doll stand up, peeking down at 'em, glaring like it knew their names. And Gene? He stopped painting, stopped talking much, started staring off into nowhere, sleepwalking, talking to Robert like the two of 'em were still little boys. By the time he passed in 1974, folks said he wasn't right in the head no more, said he belonged more to that doll than to his own flesh and blood. And when they found him, Gene was gone. But Robert was still there, upright in that rocking chair, staring out the window like he'd never moved a muscle, but still somehow waiting for whoever was next. After Gene passed on, that old house changed hands. New folks moved in, smiling, hopeful, none the wiser to what still lurked inside. But they found out quick. They took one look at that lifeless doll sitting in the rocking chair, and they didn't want nothing to do with it. So they did what anyone with a lick of sense might try. They locked him in the attic, shoved him behind a dusty trunk under a moth-eaten quilt, nailed the door shut, said, "Good riddance." But Robert, he ain't the kind to be locked away. It started with the footsteps, slow and deliberate, like someone pacing above their heads. Then the giggling, soft as a child hiding in the walls. They said they heard the floorboards creak when nobody was up there. Cold spots would crawl across the room like the breath of a thing that didn't have lungs no more. And sometimes they'd find Robert somewhere else. Not in the attic, not behind the trunk, just sitting quiet in the hallway or the kitchen, staring, waiting. Finally, they couldn't take it no more. So they gave him away, shipped him off to the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, thinking maybe that'd end it. But Robert's story didn't stop. Today, he's still there, tucked behind glass, in a special case they say is climate-controlled and sealed tight. But it don't matter. He sits like a king in a tomb, cloth hands folded, button eyes gleaming, surrounded by hundreds of letters. Letters from folks who learned the hard way. You see, there's a rule, and if you're smart, you'll mind it. Ask Robert's permission before you take his picture. Don't laugh. Don't test him. Don't try to be clever. 'Cause if you don't, your camera might break, your car might crash, your job might disappear, you might get sick, or worse. You'll dream of him. Not once, not twice, but again and again, until you write him a letter. They come from all over, letters begging for forgiveness. Some send candy, little toys, even jewelry, trying to make peace with a doll that ain't supposed to move. One of them letters said, "I'm sorry, Robert. I didn't believe. But now I do." And Robert, he don't blink, he don't speak, he don't move, but somehow he always knows. They say Robert don't move, but folks that have stood face to face with him, they'll tell you different. Some claim they seen him blink, just once, slow as molasses, but sharp enough to make their guts turn. Others swear up and down his pose changes. One minute, his hands resting in his lap. Next, it's tilted just so, like he's listening, or reaching. And the museum staff? They don't talk about Robert after dark, won't answer questions, won't even look his way once the sun slips down past the palm trees. One worker said, "He's fine till the lights go out," then refused to ever speak his name again. Even the big-shot paranormal investigators come in, full of fancy gear and cocky grins, only to leave with dead batteries, corrupted tapes, and looks like they seen death wink at 'em. Some folks say Robert holds the spirit of that Bahamian woman, the one who stitched him by hand with bad intentions and darker knowledge. Others think it's worse. They say he's a vessel, a puppet for something that feeds on fear, something old, something hungry, something that don't forget a face. Gene Otto's kin? They won't speak of the doll at all, not even to deny it. And the ones who've stood before Robert, those who felt their skin crawl under his stare, they all end up saying the same thing. He don't just haunt the museum. If he don't like you, he'll find you. Now, maybe, Robert's just an old doll, a bundle of straw, fabric, and creepy stories. But then again, maybe belief is all it takes to wake something up. So, if you ever visit Key West and you find yourself standing in front of that glass case, ask before you take the photo. And whatever you do, don't make him angry. Now, it's time to ask, have you ever visited Robert the Doll in Key West? Do you believe a spirit can attach itself to an object, or is it all just legend? And would you take Robert's picture without asking? Let us know in the comments, and if you're feeling brave, hit that like button and subscribe. Because here on Kentucky Melody, the dolls don't stay put, and the wind ain't whispering. It's telling secrets it wasn't supposed to.